All right, I'll get us started. We are, of course, at week 9 and which is today the 4th. I want to point out something to everybody. I made a little bit of a change. I was concerned that it might put some folks in a situation, if they're remote and they're not in the lab, that they would be in a spot if something happens with their machine. In fact, it happened. I got an email. So if you'll note, in each of these modules, weeks module, we're going to call them, the assignments are now due on Friday at 6 p.m., not Thursday. That gives you a little more breathing room, especially for the person who maybe needs to come in here and would work tonight later, or would come in early tomorrow, whatever. So I've changed the due dates to Friday. At 6 o'clock. And I think I even did that one. And let's see, and then May the 2nd. So I'll change this right now. I'll just edit this exercise that's due. And I'll change it to Friday evening, Friday at 6, which won't be any big deal. That'll take some pressure off everybody. So that should be May the 3rd at 6 p.m. Now, one of the things we have to remember is we're going to be coming upon a Good Friday here, so you'll want to make certain you're on top of that and don't get caught. So that's saved. To set that back to May the 3rd. And let's see what we got. Yeah, we're good there. And then that takes us into module 14. Okay, everybody? So please, now, when we do, we've been doing these cases forward, and so it's always in your best interest. Once we've finished it, upload it then. Don't wait. If you wait, you may put yourself in a spot you don't want to be in. Okay, now, I did part 2 last weekend, and we ended part 2. Part 2, I covered chapter 17, or Lunch's Database 17. And so what we have left ahead of us is 18. But before I go into that, I want to just make sure we're kind of on top of the logistics that are going on. Okay? Once we've finished Lunch's Database 18, we've done all of the cases that we need to do, and the work that's going to be left for you will be some big projects at the end of the course, as well as some of the assignments out of the business intelligence text, the SHARTA text. And here it is. That's the SHARTA text. That's the one that's on business intelligence. So you'll have those assignments, okay? And what I'm going to do next week is I'm going to cover these projects and talk about the check your understanding, that piece of that project, the SAS Visual Analytics project. We'll talk about it, the instructions, then some extra credit extra credit opportunity you've got, and that'll bring us to the point where you'll be in good shape. Now, I have no class flex time, and this is on the 18th. So next week I'll cover everything in terms of the check your understanding and all that. Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands what's going on when I say no class. What that means is I'm not going to be doing any streaming, okay? I will be here if someone has a question, and if you're smart, you'll use the time to go ahead and do some of the work on the projects and on these big projects I've got for you, and to get ready for the final, okay? So you'd be very smart to do that. I'll be up here, Okay, but I'm not going to be live streaming or anything. I'll probably just have I'll probably have the Zoom open, so somebody has a question who's remote, they can do so. All right. So starting the 18th, I'm here 6 to 8, something like that, and I'll have Zoom open, so if someone's out there, they can ask me a question. But I really would encourage as many of you possible to get up here and work. Okay, and if you work together, you work together. I'm okay with that, but I do want everybody to upload something. The check your understanding stuff is going to be rough enough. You'll want to help each other. Any questions so far? Okay, because you know that if you've had a class with me, you know I'll do this. Now, week 12 is the same story. You can work on the projects and the finals. Then week 13, I have an extra credit opportunity for you that's due. So you can be working on that. Then we come to week 14, all right? And you've got some flex time to work on what's left here. And hopefully you'll have the check your understanding that done. If you want to do extra credit, you've got that done. If you choose to do the Oracle assignment, that's an alternative. Then you ought to have that done, as well as the SAS projects. And that brings you to a point then where you're ready to do the finals. Well, I have a week there just completely open so you can work on finals. I'll talk about the finals for just a minute. And the final exam is going to have two parts. It's going to have a hands-on portion, and it's going to have an objective exam portion. You would be smart. Well, you've got some assignments that need to be due at the start of the final exam period, and then you have the exams, and they're due at the end of the final exam period. So hopefully everybody's clear on that. Anybody have a question? Pretty clear? Yes? No? Now, one of the reasons that I handle my class like this is, at this point, you're all big people. You're old enough to go fight and die for your country. You're old enough to go buy a house. You're old enough to get married. You're old enough to incur debt. And my feeling is that this gives you an opportunity to do an internal check for yourself to see if you're getting ready for prime time. In other words, that point where you'll go to work and your boss will say, I need X, Y, and D done, this project done in 3 months, and you've got 3 months, and you have to have that capacity to get the job done, and with a minimal or no supervision. Okay? Because your boss is typically going to be overwhelmed with the stuff that's come down to his or her level. And so this is a chance for you to do that. Now, I also give you a chance to do some social learning or some teamwork here, because with the check your understanding items, they're fairly challenging, and I'm okay if you choose to work together. I don't have a big deal about that. Now, you'll see this thing here called and the Oracle assignment, and that's from the Patrick text. And if you go over to chapter, it's going to be, well, not 19, because that's the multi-user environment. We're just going to skip that. It's Appendix A. Now, Appendix A, it walks you through the instructions for downloading Oracle, a baby kind of version of it, and playing around with it and looking at it. If you have your own machine and you want to do that, instead of doing the check your understandings, I'm okay if you do that. That will be to your benefit, because you'll then be able to say, yes, I've seen Oracle, I've actually worked with it some, and that's going to help you when you get ready to go out and interview with an employer. The experience with SAS visual analytics will also be of great use to you. And that project is going to be over there at Teradata University, and I'll talk some more about the instructions for those. And that'll pretty much do it. Now tonight we're going to talk about Chapter 18, and I'm probably going to go a little bit in greater depth. We'll see if I think it's beneficial for us to do that. Is everybody kind of clear on what we're doing? Okay, and I hope I don't have a bunch of people. Well, I'll know tomorrow morning how many have seen this and don't get themselves caught flat-footed. But when I say no class flex time, what that means is I'll be up here, and I'll be here till 7:30 or 8 o'clock to try to answer some questions or help out if somebody has something they need to talk with me about or wants me to look at something. I won't give everybody the answers. I'm not going to do that, but I will be here. And otherwise, you're working on this stuff that you've got due. So everything now is due on Fridays. And then when we get down to the finals, of course, that they're going to be due on that finals time period. And I have the spring finals schedule right here. I want to go through it with you. I'll probably go through it with you next week as well. And if you've been through the drill, you can see my classes and then the exam times. And we are an evening class, okay? So since we're an evening class, the final exam is at this time, okay? I have work that I want you to do that's due at the start of the final exam period. Then you have some other work, it's objective exams, it's due at the end. If you want to do all of it and get it out of the way, that's your prerogative. I'm fine if you do that. If that will help you, juggle your schedule a little bit better, I don't have any problem whatsoever. Okay, where we will have a problem is the person who with all of this in advance doesn't do something, and then wants me to let them go past the course. Once the course is finished, and that's going to be 8 o'clock that night, I can't go back and let you upload any additional work. I just can't do it. Okay, and I think I've got this laid out well enough that you really should not have to do that. Anybody have a question I help you with? Okay. All right. Now, again, we're going to be working with Lunches Database 18, and that'll finish out the Lunches Database cases that we've been working on. And we will have done just about everything we could do with Access, and we will have done just about everything you could do with a database. And again, we've worked through a whole series of steps where we're now down at the last part where we do even more working with the analytical cubes, more slicing and dicing, and that's over at chapter 18. Now, if you look at page 674, you ought to have your book with you. You're going to see that we're going to look at if-then-else logic, okay? So we're going to look at a special form of Boolean algebra that's or conditional statements that are part of just about any database. Then parameter queries, where we specify a particular parameter that has to be met for the query to execute. Then subqueries, and this is where we bury a query within a query. And then we'll see some about the applications of them and then some of their other features. Now, there's a lot in here, as you can see. It's 42 plus pages. And so what I will do is I'm going to do part one of this chapter this evening, and then I'll do part 1, part 2 of the chapter over the weekend. Okay? And so we've marched through this pretty methodically, and we're down at really the last piece in terms of what you would be doing with the database. Now, I'm realistic enough to understand that for probably 95% of you, probably all of you, this course is not your cup of tea. I get that. And I don't think anybody is going to want to become a database administrator because of this course, and I don't intend to turn anyone into one of those. But what I do hope you'll take away is this. You'll have a general understanding of how a database works. You'll have a general understanding of how we can perform queries and what they're meant to do. So if we want certain types of information, we can do that. Hopefully, we've covered some things like validity and reliability of data. And hopefully, I've been able to bring you to a point where when you go out to work, you have worked with this stuff. You can say, yes, I've worked with it. But more importantly, when you deal with functional specialists, like the people in the IT department or maybe a vendor that you have come in from the inside, you can have an intelligent discussion with them. And that's the most important thing. That truly, truly is. Almost everything now is so project-oriented out in the world. And it's often going to be a mix of people within your company and maybe some people on the outside. You may have a strategic partner that you work with, but you'll have these different specialists, and you'll be way ahead in the game. It is if as you take your courses or you reflect on the courses you've had, like with marketing, accounting, econ, management, and finance, you'll say, okay, how do I put on the cap of that person and think about things in their terms? Because they are, and you are, a set of internal customers that has to work together. And your ability to go very far will be dependent greatly upon your ability to work with functional specialists. And that's just being able to kind of speak their language, understand where they're coming from, respect their expertise, and go from there. And I can't tell you that, I can't emphasize that enough, and it's going to get more and more prevalent simply because a lot of the problems that we tackle are interdisciplinary in nature, and that's just going to require all of us. It requires me, if I want to stay up to stuff or I want to go out and do some work for somebody pro bono, I've got to be understanding that I'm dealing with a whole team of functional specialists, and they all have their own perspectives and they all have their own views. So hopefully you'll have gotten some of that from the course, and hopefully most importantly you'll see that a database. You'll notice that we've worked with the same database, the SQL Fund, over and over and over with those same tables. And that should tell you something about the value that's inherent in a database. We know that one of the things that we understand now that we didn't know maybe 10 or 15 years ago is that a database can really be used as a business model. And the first people who really cracked open that idea or went through that door were the folks at Amazon who decided to become an e-tailer and decided to create a database system so they could sell stuff online. Now, that being said, they developed the Amazon Web Service, which is such a fantastic tool that they have they make more money from people renting their system than they do from selling stuff. eBay is another one of those companies that's really a database model. Hulu is another one of them. Your phone has apps that really tune you right into a database. Your phone's like a database for all intents and purposes. You run a query. when you touch an app, and go from there. So this tool, and then when it's married up with spreadsheet applications, is very powerful. And I'm hoping that when you work your way through the SAS Visual Analytics, which is over there in Teradata, okay, I'm hoping that as you do that, you'll stop and ask yourself, okay, what can I do with this? And you're going to get a little bit of a tour of how it works, and you're going to see why it's the most prominent dashboard product that's out there. And your comfort level with that, your ability to see that and understand it, is going to be of great value to you. I didn't make up the rules. These are the rules that business operates in. You take China, for example, they have as many merit scholars as we have people in college. This is the most competitive work environment you could ever go into. It's the most competitive the global economy is the most competitive business environment in the history of the world. And analytic capabilities and the ability to see patterns in data, the ability to go out and snatch huge amounts of data and work with it and process it, are going to be usually the difference between life or death for most companies. And it will also have an impact on your career. So I can't emphasize enough to you that you are going to be called upon increasingly to be able to handle more and more types of data. You'll be given the tools to handle them, but ultimately you're going to have to be able to recognize patterns. And that's going to be something that will be in analytic and visualization engines, but you'll have to have the data underneath, and that is the data in the tables, to get that accomplished. So this is a very important course for you. You may or may not understand that or realize that at this point, but I guarantee you 10 or 15 years down the road, when you're trying to figure out what's going on in your company in terms of your operations, when you're trying to figure out what's happening in terms of transactions with customers, and you're trying to figure out what's going on out in the external environment, you're going to find that at the core of all of that is going to be database technology and your ability to get data, to handle it, to extract it, to store it. And that's what this course has really looked about. But we've also tried to work you through using it, and using it down at the code level so code doesn't scare you. Now, if I had it to do over again, I would have gone back to school a third time and taken computer science. My dissertation was the second dissertation at the University of Oklahoma that used computer science as its language. Everybody had to declare a language. There were no computer science courses. If you wanted to learn how to write a particular type, if you wanted to learn how to write RPG 1 or 2, I went over to audit a course with the engineering professor. And he said, here, the programming piece is learning how to program it and input the data, and if you get the right results, then you understand how this works. And I worked with both of them. I worked with the first forms of basic, the very most rudimentary databases. It was really, things were kind of building, but they were not going that fast. And as I look now, and I probably mentioned this, when I take a look when I go out like on Monster and I look to see the incoming skills for a financial analyst, you'll see they want you to be working in Python. Marketing, they want you to know digital media and digital advertising. And if you can write some Python, that would be fine. And COBOL was the common ordinary business language. Your parents probably know COBOL. You don't know, you've probably never even seen the code. But I worked at what we call the disk operating system level, and I wrote the code. And I went to people who knew how to do it. There were no courses. And so that was a challenging environment. Finally, when we got spreadsheets and we got a tool like Access that had, when we got object-oriented programming, we got icons, we were able to do so much more, okay? So you guys are, the good news is you're at a time and place that, especially for marketers, this is going to be a golden age of marketing, because you're going to have real-time, actual transaction data. There won't be the guesswork. You won't sit around the boardroom and go, well, what do we think? Will they buy Pampers this year or not? You're not going to have to do that, because the sales data, all of that's going to be out there. It's going to be fed into the system, and you're going to have that stuff real time. We really don't know at all where some of this is going to take off, but a database model and databases are becoming the preeminent tool, and your comfort level and working with them is important. And it's important just not so that you're some geeky kind of person, but so that you can fulfill this job that we have to do out in the world. We're a faith-based institution, and so what we try to do here, what I try to do, is to prepare you to go out and model and provide what a lot of people would call God's common grace. So what do you mean by that? Well, God loves everybody. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. God loves everyone. He's created them. He created this world. And so when you're out in business and you can use one of these tools to make somebody's life better, you've shown God's common grace. And many times, if you do that, you'll have those opportunities to share his saving grace. Okay? So God has good things for us to do. You can go back, and I believe it's in Ezekiel, but the people who were there, the Jews who were there in Babylon, were told, hey, stay here and really be great people and provide a witness to the world. Okay? So that would be, I think, some words for us to think about. And that's all of the preaching I intend to do today. And I'm not getting to take up an offering, so why did I even spend the time? No, I'm teasing you. All right, let's look over here at chapter 18, and we'll go down and we're going to get the SQL Fund database. So I'll find it here. I've got it here, my case files. And it could be up. I've got it over here. Yeah, I'll just find it up here on the top. And, well, why am I doing this? I've got the Patrick materials. That's where it's at. So I'm going to copy this and throw it on my desktop. Okay. And then I'm going to open up the code, and we're going to take a look at chapter 18. I'm skipping 19 for a very simple reason. It deals with multi-user environments, and that's really more the province of folks who are going to be database administrators and try to work through that process. Okay. Now let me find my code here. I threw it out here and I'm trying to find it. Look, hang on a sec. All right, I'll just do it again. Copy, and let's paste it on there. And where did you go? That's really strange. Let me see why I'm not getting it out here. Got the SQL fun. I'll just get the little iPad thing. Okay. Well, I'll fix that. I'm not going to putz around this anymore. Let's just grab it, and I'll work from there. All right. Here's chapter 8. Here's the code for 18. We'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and we're going to start over there on page 176. Now he talks about if then else logic, and what he's basically saying is, okay, we're using a conditional statement. If we have certain conditions, then we get some type of output. Otherwise, we have an alternative. And there at the top of page 678, he's still talking about Oracle, but he walks you through this default version, a literal, and then a null and a column and a row function. Now he's got some tasks there showing us, and he's using the decode function, so it's not going to be of any great value for us, okay? So we're going to wait till he gets us on over here, and we start to look at some of the code that is for access. And here in access, we're going to use the immediate, the IIF, the immediate function. And let's go down here to 18.2. And we've got the access queue, and let's see if he gives us this in the here. Okay, we've got the select, description. Okay, you take a look there at the top of page 681. All right, let's look what what's going on there. And he doesn't have this in here that I could see. I thought he would, but he doesn't. Yeah, because he's using the decode. All right. He says select, simple enough. Then the immediate if. Immediate if is a search function. And it says if you find I want you to find any description that includes broccoli, okay, carrots, and description as the new menu, okay? And he gives you the beginning table, okay? And then at the bottom, he shows you the result table with the price, all right? And he went through there and we found carrots in the beginning table, but we didn't find anything else. So we've got the menu items listed there at the bottom of page 681, but then we just see carrots, which we had hard coded in. We put in the literal broccoli, carrots, and then the description as a new menu. And here at the bottom, you know, when broccoli's found, it's true, okay, but we're after carrots, and that's what we get. It's the true value. The broccoli, and we're looking at a true or false expression. So that's what we get. The immediate if is just like it's close to the end function, and it's going to just find the expression. The syntax is over there on page 680, which will help you. True or false expression, the true value, and the false value. Okay, and the ordering of it is very, very important. Now, there on 682, at the top of page 682, take a look at that code there, okay? And we're going to select the description equals broccoli, carrots, and description. And we're using the immediate if as new menu. And then we're going to find anything that's described as broccoli, and then we're going to have a 120 and then a price, and that's going to be as the price. And notice as we go through here again, we get carrots. So it's a searching type of function, but it starts with a true or false statement. If, then, else. And that's what it's going to do for us. This type of query really works more around excluding things than including them. Let's walk it back through 682 and think about it, because you have to take a little bit of time and walk through it real quickly. I'm going to select, and I'm using the immediate if function, and that is if the immediate if is a true or a false expression, and the true value and the false value. And then they give us some verbiage there where the false is a 0 and true is any other value. Okay? And as they did the search at the beginning table, okay, then we find, look here, are we finding broccoli? Well, we don't have broccoli in here, okay, but we find carrots, and we choose that, and we put that in there for $1. And that's where we had put in the price. It's a little spooky to work with it. It's a little different because it's not as straightforward as what we're used to working with. Okay. Now, over on page 683, the author walks us through attaching messages to rows, and that's an easy thing to do, because we're putting in a literal. Now, I want to find 18.3 and see if we're going to do that. Expensive item, from foods. And here's that code right there. We're going to use the immediate if function, and then we're going to use that literal and see what it looks like. So we'll click create, and we'll go over and do query design. We'll close it. We'll go to the SQL view. Boom. Boom. We're going to run it. Let's see if I can get it here. Undefined decode. Oh, boom, 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 boom. All right. I don't want the decode in here. What did I do? Grab the Oracle. I don't want that. Let's take the decode out and see if this will work. Well, the dual section. All right. Let's try to run this and see if we get enough. Yeah, we did. All right. Let's go back to his text file for a minute, because he's crossed us up, I believe. Maybe it's me. I don't think so. All right. Okay. Top of 683. Okay, there it is. It's 18.3. Okay, we're going to use it. All right. We're going to select. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to select the description and the price, and the case when the price is greater than $2, and when that occurs, we're going to put expensive item. Otherwise, we'll leave a blank. That's that else with the blank. And we're going to call that column, that new column, message. Okay, let's throw that in there and take a look at it. And we'll run it. Okay, I don't know. I want if the price. All right, let's get case out of it right now. So on a description price, I'll hedge through this description of the price, and then want the IIF, and the price is $2. I'll take the win out. So I've got the intermediate if, and price is greater than $2, then expensive item. And I've got the else function. Let's see if this will run. Weird. Okay. Let me look at this for just a second. Then, oh, I don't need the then, do I? Okay. That's where I messed this up, I think. Sorry about that. We'll try this and see if it works. No, it's not going to be nice. So let me go back down here. Okay, select the price. 83. And he wants us to use the case function, but it's not going to run it for us. So I'm going to select the description. I'm going to look at here at access. At the top of page 684 is what I'm going to work through. All right. I'm going to select the description. I'm going to select the price. I'm going to use the intermediate if function. And I need to put the price in parentheses. So I've got that operator, okay. And we have the alternatives, the empty. So we have else. And I think that'll do it. So let me see if I've done here. I've got the select description, the price, the immediate if, price is greater than $2, and we have the expensive item. I've got expensive item in quotes. I've got else, close that, and as message, goes message from foods and order by description. Let's see if I've done enough carving and working with this to get it to run for us. Okay. This is what's getting me perplexed here. Okay. Hang on, folks. Select the description. Okay, so far so good. Price. And the immediate F, the price is greater than $2. And okay, I need a comma there. And I've got an expensive item. And then, okay. I've got the collar that for there. And oh, okay. Let me get this up where I can see what I'm working with here. I want to get this. All right, this is great fun. As much fun for me as it is for you. We're all having fun. Okay, I'm going to suppression price, immediate if. I don't know, can I say intermediate? And we got $2. And I put commas, so I'll separate that off. Okay. Then I'm going to put expensive item. And I'm going to go ahead and use lowercase here, item. I'll put it in a single quote. And then I'm going to follow that with the comma. And then I'm going to have blank. I'll close that off with a parenthesis. As message. And let's see if that's going to run for us. Mill Foods. All right, let's see what happens. There we go. Let me go back here and show you what I did. All right. Go back down to the SQL view. I apologize about that. Let me highlight this so I get going on. Okay. He had thrown a couple little zingers in there for us in terms of some of the punctuation. Okay. Here's the select statement. We're going to select the description of the price. Then we come to the immediate if. If the price is $2, and where I messed up there is I didn't put a parenthesis starting that operator. And then I needed to go ahead and have a comma there. So as I put in the literal, and that's expensive item. And then I had the default, and I had a blank space there, and then I closed off the parenthesis as message. So I used a column alias, and I did it from foods, and I got it ordered by description. We had done some flagging before, but here we are. And we should check this and see, and every one of these should be greater than $2. Okay? I'm very sorry about that. Sometimes you have to kind of hunt and peck and mess around with something to get there. This is going to be 18.3, and that's what I want you to save it as. Now, let's take a look at the design view of this, and hopefully it'll help us just a bit. We're working with a foods table, and we get the description, we get the price, and then we have a message. Okay. And notice that you see it says message with colon. So we've created a column called message, and then inside of it we do the immediate if. And that means if we find a price greater than $2, we put in that literal, which is expensive item. Now, expensive item is in single quotes, and then you have a comma after them, and then we put a blank space, and then we close off we close off that operation there with a parenthesis, and we're done. There will be some times when you work with some of these, you'll probably want to work at that level, but you can see what we've got. And we're just using that. So it's the immediate if does not go into action, okay, unless it sees a trigger from which then you can make a logical choice, or the machine will make the logical choice for you. Sorry about that, but we got through it. We survived. Let's go over to 18.4 in that text. We'll see if it's in there. If not, we're going to have to write it. And he's going to be using case. And all right. Now, he's using some Oracle language there. So I'm going to come over here and let's write just a little bit of code. Let's find the 18. All right. This is and we're at the top, we're in the middle of page 686, excuse me. So I'm going to select the item. And instead of the case, I'm going to put in the first immediate if. I'll put a parenthesis, and if cost if the cost is less than 0, I'll put a comma. So that's a logical test. Then we put cost, and we have a blank space, and we close that, and we call that as debits. Okay. Now, we're going to do a second one. We've got another condition, the intermediate if, and we'll put the parenthesis there. And that is if the cost is equal to or greater than 0. And greater than, oh wait, I want that one, equal sign. And are equal to 0. And I think I'm going to want to separate that 0 right there from that operator. So the cost 0. And I'll put a comma. And then I have cost. He's going to create a table of debits and credits. The cost, comma, and I'll put in my blank space, single quotes. No, I don't want parentheses, I want single quotes. Single quote, blank space, single quote, and then I'll close it up and I'll call it as credits. All right, and this is going to be from section 1804 finances. We're going to order by item. Okay, here's what we should have and what we'll input. And what we're going to do is pretty simple. If you take a look at the bottom of page 686, you're going to see that he has a table, a finances table, with a list of items and their costs. Okay? You'll notice some of those costs are computed as show up as negative. And so here's the logic. We're going to select an item. We're going to select the item. We're going to do an immediate logical test. If the cost is less than 0, then for cost, we're going to put a blank space and we'll call it as debits. Okay, and we'll call it debits. That's the column alias. The next one, we're going to do the immediate if. We're going to do the logical test, and if the cost is equal to or greater than 0, then we'll put a cost, okay, and then we'll have the blank fields as credit. And we're going to get them from the section 1804 finances, and we're going to order that by item. Well, let's copy that and throw it in there and see what happens. Remember, we've got some of those negative numbers, some of those positive numbers. Select item 1804 finances. As credits. All right. Select the item. Okay. I've got the immediate costs less than 0. The cost as debits. This cost greater than or equal to 0. I have those together. That may be the problem. And as credits, and let's see what kind of error message it gives. Select because reserve or an argument is misspelled or missing. Okay, I misspelled something good. Costs. Here it is. I think I put in a Q instead of a 0. Let's see if that works. Okay. Let me look at this for just a second. Okay, we've got the cost. All right. And then I want to get rid of cost that in front of it. And so we've got, okay, costs. There are going to be these days like this where I'm having one of them where I've got to do everything 8 times as debits. Costs are then equal to 0. So the costs. And is it cost or costs? That may be where I've got costs as credits. Please run. I don't understand what I'm not getting here, but it says debits. I probably need, I need a comma after debits. It'll keep telling me I'm messing up till I fix it. All right. Lost. Oh, come on. All right. Let me look at this. I'm very sorry about this. Let's see. We're going to do a little troubleshooting here. I'm going to just start over. I'm going to select item. And then I'm going to get the IIF. And the cost is less than 0. Okay. And I want to put a comma there because I've got an operation. And then I'm going to put cost and a blank space, single quotes. That's where I'm messing myself up. And I want the blank space with single quotes and so boom, space, boom, and then a parenthesis. Now I'm going to do an immediate if, and the cost is equal to or greater than 0. And I've got cost. And then I have my blank spaces as credits. And I'm going to get them from section 1804 finances. And we'll order by item, I hope. Been this way all week. It's not getting better. All right, now with the semicolon. Let's try this now. Well, I want the comma there as debits. This operator. Okay. These have to be joined. That's giving me this lip. All right, I'm not sure what in the world I'm not doing, but let's walk through the logic of this. And I'll take the author's word for it. This is going to work. I have no idea what I am doing or not doing. Oh, okay. Now I want to order by that. I've got that. Okay. Let's look at it here in the table. Thank goodness we got the book to take a look at it. I'm sorry. You got a beginning table here, and you'll notice I've got all these items. Some of them are negatives, have negative values. Others are positive. Those are the negative value. Those, in other words, those that are less than zero are debits. Okay. And then those that have a positive value or are equal to or greater than zero, those are credits. And the result table is down there in the bottom, and you can see the debits and the credits. The birthday gift from your mom, that's a credit. The car repair is a debit. And then the debt repaid and the haircut, the lunch, the opera ticket, and then the rent for April, which is a credit. And it's a credit because it's a prepaid expense. And then I've got the Samsonite suitcase, which I spent $248 on. That's the logic of how it's supposed to work. Now I've typed it in. I don't know. I've selected item costs less than zero. Okay, and costs. As debits. Another way. Anybody else get this to run? No? Strange to me. Not getting why it won't. That's really weird. And that's one that I'll have to look at. I ought to just throw it up here on Word. Hang on a second. I want to take a look at it because I want to be fairly persistent with this. Jewel. Okay, I'm going to select the item. Okay. And let's check what I've got here. I've got zero and then cost, comp, blank as debits. I mean, if cost is credits, order by item. Let's try this. I may have had them jumbled up there, and that was the problem. Let's see what happens. All right, I'm giving up on that one tonight. Weird. All right. Now, over on the bottom of page 688, this is 18.5 that the author has in the text file. We'll take a look at it here for just a minute. Okay. And we're going to select the description. And here he says, immediately if the price is greater than $2, then the price is plus $1.05. Otherwise, the price equals $1.10. And you're going to use as new price, and you're going to use that alias, and that's from the foods table. And he shows you that beginning table, okay, and then the result table over there on page 689. And why, oh, why I'm taking a whipping from this jewel tonight, I don't know. It's really strange. Let's go down to 18.5 and take a look what the author did to us. If he mixed these in, sometimes he mixes these in. No, he's using decode. He's using case. No. So we're back to the immediate if. No, I'm going to try to just type this in and see if we can run it. This is short. We're going to see. And I'm going to select, and I'm working on the Access SQL on page 688 using the immediate if. Pardon me, select description. then we're going to get immediate if. Oh, this is just in a week. Okay, price is greater than $2. Greater than. I probably need to move that operator over. Sure, I'm using an II. And I've got description. Okay, I've selected description. Yikes. And now we've got price. Weird. Price is greater than $2. And then the price, let me take price times 1.05. And we separate that with a comma, and then we do, and the else part is the price. Price times 110. And so the price is greater than $2. Okay. Then the price is otherwise or else it's 110, price times 110. And we're going to call that as new price. I'm going to get that from the L_foods. And we're not going to be doing any ordering of that data. Okay, let's see what happens. There may be something with the intermediate function that's not working anymore. Who knows? My brain's not working anymore, so I'm going to click create. Go down to the query design. I'm going to grab it. Reserved word. Punctuation's incorrect. That's new price. That's the alias. I can't explain to you why I'm not getting it because, folks, I'm coding it in correctly. I know that I am. If I knew what to tell you why it's been like this, I don't know. But here's this in the book. I'll have to look at this. I don't get this. Again, the code using the immediate if function. We're going to select description, okay, that column, the data in that column. Then we're going to do the immediate if. We hit a price that's greater than $2. Then the new price, then we'll have the price times 1.05. Else, if we'll do price times 1.10. So we're going to raise it 5% or 10% as the new price. And price, let's put that underscore there. Price. Maybe that's the craziness that was given me. There it is. Now, I'll tell you what just happened there. Let me show you. It happens to all of us, one way or the other. I had been using new price instead, and I wasn't putting in the underbar in order to create one new name. I had two names there, and it was when I was confusing the machine. All right. So let's check it working. I do apologize that this is 18.5. I'm so sorry. A weird day. Or let's call this 18-5. Okay. And let's look at what we've got. We've got fresh salad. Okay. And let's look at the beginning table, and we'll just walk through it. The fresh salad was originally was $2.20. Okay. And we have, that's the result table. The fresh salad was originally $2. Okay. And when we found an item of that value, then we multiplied it times 1.10. And I know that because I could see it up here in the code. If the price was greater than $2, then the price is price times 1.05, and otherwise the price was 1.10 as the new price. Okay? And the fresh salad was equal to $2, not greater, so it kicked in the else, and that's why we've got that 220 there. Okay? On the result table, because we kicked it up 10%. Then if you look at the sandwich, in the beginning table for the sandwich, here's what you're going to see. It's $3.50. Okay? And since it's greater than $2, okay, since it's greater than $2, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the else there, and that will be, they're showing a 105, but I don't think that's right. So I want to look at this for just a second. I've got the sandwich. The sandwich is, yeah, the sandwich, okay, the sandwich is $1.50. It's less than $2, so we go ahead and add 10%. So both of these items, okay, were $2 or less, as he shows us there at the bottom of 688, and excruciatingly, we finally get there and we get those updated. Very sorry about that, but I think you could see what's going on with it. If you look at the two tables, you're going to see anything that was $2 or less, which is what we were looking at with fresh salad and with the sandwich. It went up 10%. Okay. It went up 5%. Otherwise, it went up to $2, to 10%. Let me stop and get my tongue under control. Here's what happens at the bottom of 688. Okay. I'm going to select the description. Okay. Then here comes the immediate if. If the price is $2, if the price is greater than $2, then I take the price times 1.05. So if it's greater than $2, now the sandwich is greater than $2. So I added 5% of the price. If it didn't meet that condition, in other words, if it equaled $2 or was less, I increased it by 10%, which was the fresh salad. I'm sorry that took so long to do that, but that's what we did. And you can see sometimes it takes some courage to work through these. Now, moving on over here, they're going to give us parameter queries and talk to us about running them, and they show you how to do it over there in Oracle. Okay, and running a parameter query. And a parameter query is just kind of like a challenge. It's almost like a password. If you go to the bottom of page 698, you're going to see it. Okay, and so we're going to work from there, and I'm just going to write the code raw. I'm tired messing with it. He's got that jumbled bunch of stuff he has. So at the bottom of page 698, I'm going to put select, and I'm going to get everything because I'm going to use the wildcard from the L underscored employees table. So I'm going to select everything from that table. And I'm just going to use a conditional statement where the department underscore code make sure I've got underscore department underscore code equals, and I'm going to put a bracket, okay? I'm going to put in a message. It's going to say enter a valid department code. You'll see this when you mess up signing in on something because you're not meeting the parameters that they want to have met. And the parameter is a valid department code. Just do it like department code. Code. All right. Here we go. And that's all I'm going to do. So take a look at this for a minute. We're going to select everything from the employees table where the department code. Now we're going to run a query, and we're going to do a parameter query because it's going to ask us to enter a code. So I'm going to click here, copy that. I'm going to go down. I'm going to click create and go over to the SQL design. We're going to do that. And I'm going to run the query. And notice you're going to get the message, okay? And you can't get to the data unless you've got the right code. So let's put a code there. I don't know what the codes are. Let's put in the 67 and see what happens. And we get null data. We can try codes all day long. We'll get null data until we use the right department code. And ACT will do that. All right. So I'll go back to my query. And I'll go back down to the query design view. This is going to be 18.9. Slow down to the SQL view. Now I'm going to run this again. I'll put in a valid code, and this should give me everybody in accounting. And there we are. Okay. Now you say, well, why didn't I get the other stuff, the hire date, credit limit, all that? Well, I didn't ask for it. Okay. Now, if I'm really all that hepped up about it, here's what I can do. I'll go here on this query, and I'm going to go down to the design view. Okay. And here I can add in everything else that I want to get in addition to the department code. And what I couldn't get before, I can get all the data. And we'll look at the SQL here just to see what we had asked for sure. We got the department code. We were supposed to get everything from there, but we didn't. I put ACT, and I should have gotten the whole set. Now the authors used they prompted it. They use SAL sales, and they get that result table. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this again. And I'm just going to run it again. Okay. And I will go ahead and say that it's 18.9. It's going to work. But if I went ahead and put in sales, I should have gotten all the data. So I'd have to go back here and look to see why I don't have stuff like hire date and all of that. So this is simple. I'm going to do an 18.9 1. And I'll try the sales people this time and see what I get. Okay. So I'm going to create a query. I'll put in SAL for sales. I think that's what it is this time. And I'm going to run it. I'll put in SAL, and let's see what we get. There we go. What I'd have to do is go back to the employee table and take a look at it. I'm going to call this 189A and save it as such. So basically, we've just created a parameter that we have to meet. And if we know the code, we put it in just the same as if we know our username and our login, username and our password, we're good to go. So that's 189. So we've got that done. Now, over at 700, we've got another one. So I'm going to do, and this is at the top of 700. So I'm going to select everything for the employees, and I'm going to work with hire dates. And then we're going to do the hire date between, or we're going to use a between function. There's hire date. It's got to have an underscore. Oh, I hate that old school stuff. Underscore hire date. Between, and we're going to put in the message. Beginning date, and then I'll put and another message, enter ending date. Now we'll hit that, and then we're going to order by hire date. I have not done much to not much to raise your confidence in me. I understand that. I'm in that same boat. So I'm going to select them everything from the employees table where the hire date is between. I'm going to enter a beginning date and then an ending date. So I've got these two parameters, and then I'm going to order it by hire date. So let's do that, and we'll go over here. I'm going to click the create. I'll go to the query design. But you did get to see me frustrated, and you get to see me troubleshoot a little bit, which is fun. And here's I enter the beginning date. Now, I've made a note to myself, so let's try a beginning date of 6-1-1998, okay? And I'm going to enter it. That's an enter beginning date. And it's going to say enter an ending date, and I'm going to try a 4-1-2008. And let's see what I get. And there we go. And they don't show us a result set there, but if we go back to the employees table, you're going to find that's who we got. Everybody who met that criteria. So that's going to be 1810. Save it as such. Okay. Now, I want to apologize to you for the brutality of watching me lummox my way through all of this. Not good. So, here's what I'm going to do. We've gone 80 minutes, so we're a little over the magic 75. And this will be part one. I'm going to save this. And then for part two, I'm going to cover subqueries. But I'm going to start over here on page 701. And we're going to use subqueries in about every way imaginable. And that'll finish off chapter 18. And that'll finish off what we're working on. So I apologize again about some of that. I'm not certain what was happening with the immediate if function. What I was getting a lot was immediate disasters. So I'm going to close everything. And you could save this on your desktop, which I'm going to do this. I'm going to save it as. And there's an access database. And I'm going to put it on my desktop. I'm going to call it SQL Fun CH18, part 1. And you'll notice I run the letters together so I don't have to deal with those pesky little called underscores. I know. Quit being mean to me. I'm closing it off. All right. Folks, that'll do it. Thank you so much for your time. I am so very sorry about this tonight. Whoa. That was an adventure. Before I get off here, anybody have a question I could try to help you with? I doubt if I were sitting in your chairs, I'd probably say, I don't know. Will I get the right answer? Anybody have a question? All right. Well, SQL is just nothing but letters and words, but it still gave me a beating. It jumped out of that machine, grabbed me by the scrum of my throat, and kicked me around for an hour tonight. Thank you so much, folks. Appreciate it. And I will see you next week.